Rock and roll, rock and roll, rock and roll. I'm starting it different this time, Alan. Why? Because we got Rocco.
Keeping me on my toes.
Yeah, because we got Rocco Sinisgalli in here. I can't even say it right. And he's a paisan.
And I just got back from Italy. Changed my life.
Oh, I can't wait to hear about
life.
that. We're gonna, in fact, let's talk about that right now. So, Rocco's in studio. He is the owner of Oneida Builders here in Atlanta, which is an amazing building operation. You can check out their website when we get to it. But before we get to Italy, we would have said cheers, but we're supposed to say now in Italian,
Jindan, 100 years, Jindan, 100 years of happiness.
Hi, you,
Jindan,
attaboy,
all right.
Alan.
And I almost got the tattoo in Italy, but I ran out of time. But I'm going to get the tattoo. Jindan with a cross with all my kids' names. Rocco, Kaylin, and Corinne. They're going to be branded on my arm in Jindan.
Oh, I love that. So is that your first trip ever to go back to the mother country?
It is my first trip. I'm 57 years young, and I know why I didn't go back, because my father was dead broke, probably lost it in a crap game. But I walked the streets of Missalona, Italy, where my grandparents were. It's a little small town outside of Naples. Life-changing, and it's just I can't wait to get back, Chris.
You probably still have family there, right?
You know, they all moved out, but I did go to the cemetery, and I found a Sinisgalli in the cemetery.
No
one of
kidding.
them. Yeah, my grandfather's buried there because he would go back and forth. A lot of stories about him we probably can't mention on air right now.
Right.
But
Or could we?
Or could we?
Yeah.
Right?
Hey,
yeah.
Who's going to get us now, man? They're all gone.
You never know.
So who was the first in your family to immigrate over here?
It was, I believe, when my grandfather and grandmother came with 3 or 4 kids, and then my father was born here, but they had 3 or 4 that came from Italy.
Wow.
Yeah.
So did you grow up speaking Italian/English?
You know, I mean, unfortunately, there was Italian in my house, but I was the youngest of 4, and it never got to me, which it was disappointing. But like anything, you know, I could change that. But no, I remember listening. My grandmother spoke no English, and all she would come over on Saturdays and make fried dough, pizza frite.
Oh yeah.
You know, and it's like a funnel cake, which I can't even say that, but it's not even the same.
No,
she'd come over, we watch wrestling, and the only person she rooted for was Dominic DeNucci. Dominique, she would say.
Fried dough with grandma watching wrestling.
And that was
classic.
Yeah. Good
That's
times.
awesome.
Good times.
So Rocco, you're a remodeler here in Atlanta, do high-end design build. You actually also build from ground up.
I do.
Construction all across the board. But when you're growing up doing this stuff, and you grew up in
Utica, New York, upstate New York.
So the average snowfall there is
a bazillion inches.
That's right.
And it's 10 below. When I was working, guys, 10 below 0 was the normal. So if it's 10 below or warmer, we are working outside. There is no questions asked. That was the standard.
So growing up, going to school, were you good in school, or was this something? Is this a family tradition?
I was terrible in school. Terrible. You know, I was so terrible they kept me back in 2nd grade for another year. I just never cared about school. And in like 3rd or 4th grade, we had a little event, and everybody got up and said what their father does for a living. You know, my father's a postman, my father's a mailman, my father's a salesman, my father works in the paper industry. I got up and I said, my father's Italian and he doesn't work. And they freaked out, and they go, well, what do you want to do with your life? I says, well, I want to be a builder. And that was it. It never changed.
So your dad didn't work. What did your dad do?
Hey, that's a great question.
You still don't know to this day.
I do know. You know, back in the day, Utica was called Sin City, if you Google it.
Okay.
And you know, at the end of The Godfather, when there was a meeting at the up in the Appalachians with the heads of all the families.
Remember that?
Yeah, my father's friend was there, Joe Falcone. So my father networked with that group.
Okay.
But a lot of big card games, crap games, stolen merchandise. You know, when we needed to buy a gift for a girl, we'd open up the drawer, Chris. The drawer. It had necklaces in there.
So your dad was involved with the mafia, but
that's a whole new level of networking.
Watch this, right? This takes networking.
Yeah,
but I love how he just answered that question, right? So your dad was about no. I remember asking my grandmother this. So we're all Sicilian, and they lived they had a duplex, but they always seemed to have a little bit more money than what really I thought my grandfather's dump truck business would be coming in. Don't start categorizing. Hang on. And I thought maybe my great uncle, he had a sandwich trucks that he used to run to all the shops and do the lunch trucks. So they always seem to have a little bit more cash in their pocket. And so I remember asking my grandmother once, and she had broken English. Because she was born here. They both of my grandfather and grandmother were both born here, but
Okay.
split family.
Yeah.
And I said, Grandma, are we in the mafia? No. Your grandfather's not in the mafia. No. I'm like, okay, dokie. Yeah. So he was not, but he definitely was running
not.
numbers.
Yeah,
for
he
my
never
grandfather.
filed a tax return his entire life. And in my family, the women work and the husbands were able to have the freedom to kind of do what they wanted. Now, some worked for the city, some had restaurants, but nobody worked 9 to 5.
I hear you.
You know?
But you said, hey, I'm not going to go that way. I want to be a builder.
I want to be a builder. So yeah, I used to on Sunday nights drive around on my little bicycle and garbage pick and pick up 2x4s and just start building stuff, fixing bikes. And my father wasn't mechanically inclined, so
totally self-taught.
I don't know why. Just couldn't stand not being able to do anything. My father had 2 tools: a screwdriver, vice grips, and a butter knife. And that was it. And that was it.
I'm not gonna lie, we've done a lot of stuff with a butter knife.
Right, right.
And then
kind of hard to slash my tires with a butter knife, Chris.
Well, yeah. Whoa, hang on now. That's not what I'm talking about. But it's not as hard as you think. But no, I mean, but I digress. So back to Rocco. So in high school, you're going to school, but then you're working after school.
High school, yes. So high school was life changing for me. We went to Kennedy High School, typical high school, but then they had a vocational course over at UFA, Utica Free Academy. It was in a rough part of town. So we'd get on the bus in the morning, which was the idiot bus, right? The guys that were carpenters and plumbers and electricians and masons. We get on the bus and we go to a different school. Junior and senior year, I built a house each year. Literally. So what would happen is you'd get in, people would put their name in a program. They'd pick them. They would have to have the lot and pay for the building materials. And we would build the house for free labor.
And our school credits.
Yeah. That was our program. Could you imagine? We were in, how old was I? Junior year. What are you?
17?
16,
17?
17?
You're building a house.
In the middle of winter.
Oh boy.
So great. So I would go there in the morning and then go to regular school in the afternoon, vocational, and fantastic education. But I didn't know how important it was until obviously I got out in the world.
All right, so you get out in the world and you stayed in Utica for a while?
Stayed in Utica, went to a school in Dell, New York for 2 years. I got a degree in carpentry, AOS degree in carpentry. 2 years, came out, started working building houses. And my first job, I was a carpenter making $5.75 an hour on the books.
Oh boy.
After take home 40 hours was $141 after 40 hours of work.
Wow.
1987, bro.
That's I mean, think about that. 141 take home in a week.
Take home.
And right now
the 80s were so much fun and he had no money to enjoy it.
I know it.
So
unless he found Dad's drawers and went.
Yeah.
But he didn't. No, you can tell he's legit.
He did say on the books.
Well, yeah, on the books. And then I started. One guy came on the job one time and he said, his name was Louis Moses. He was in his 60s. He says, I need a carpenter to help me after work. Anybody want to work? I raised my hand and that changed my life. Why did it change my life? Because I was willing to do above and beyond what the average person was doing. No intelligence, more balls than brains, to step out and say, I'll work from 5 o'clock at night till 10 o'clock.
You know, a lot of people say, hey, I'll outwork anybody. In fact, guilty. I've said it before. Frankly, I probably won't anymore because I'm getting older.
Well, you're smarter now.
Yeah.
But there was a time.
But at the time, you're right. More balls than brains. And sometimes balls beats brains every day of the
all
week.
day.
It's the constant theme on this podcast, isn't it, Chris?
Right.
I mean, yeah.
We got to start somewhere, right?
I like it. So you get into the carpentry world,
Yes.
you're doing that, but you're working for the man.
I was working for the man, Palmieri Construction, great guy. Father was a master carpenter. We built some big houses and worked for him for 8 months. And I says, I was doing side work with Louis Moses and I started building decks. I used to work in a trailer park building decks and sheds. I would get $85 labor to build a 10 by 10 shed and $250 labor to build a 10 by 10 pressure treated deck by myself.
How long would it take you to build one deck?
2 nights.
2 nights.
Yeah.
$250.
Yeah.
So you're like, hey man, I'm ton of it. Today here in Atlanta, you can't get an undocumented. Not saying I do any of that. Sitting in Home Depot, they won't work. They won't. Yeah, for $200 a day.
Yeah. So
I've heard allegedly.
Just the willing to go above and beyond and do what the average person isn't willing to do.
I think that's
That's
the big thing. We all say it, but you truly lived it, and you can tell you did it, because I had to rough plumb my uncle's house in Buffalo, New York, with my dad in that same just brutal wind. We did this. This is my Christmas break, by the way. And I did this with my dad. I mean, it was tougher cutting through the ice than it was the wood, with the Sawzall back in the day. And your hands were just, I mean, anything that was exposed was done.
Absolutely.
And so that's some tough construction.
It is. But you don't know any different.
You didn't know any
different. I didn't know that there was
I just
people
assumed you waited till summer.
No. You go broke.
You do the inside.
Yeah.
You do the inside in the winter.
Well, you try, but that's,
So I didn't, I wasn't in the trade then, obviously, but I had a buddy who went into it. He said they bust their ass all summer to try to get it dried in and get it in before the winter hits so they can work inside.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. But I mean, I remember pouring hot water, building decks, and the ground was frozen, just getting hot water and melting the ground to dig through the frost.
Yeah. How about that?
Yeah.
Now that's more balls.
But anyway, exactly.
But he did it. All right.
Hey.
See, how long did you work up there before you said?
Let's see. I got 80 from 86. I got out of college to 96. I worked I worked that way. Bought 2 family houses. I had bought 2 family houses, 2 duplexes, and I rented 3 of the units out. Lived in the 4th. At 22 years old, I was mortgage free.
Now let's talk about that for a minute. In today's world, where everybody's going to college, and you're dropping anywhere between 50 and maybe 250,000, you could be in debt at 22. He's not only debt free, but he actually owned 2 properties that were bringing in income.
Yeah, it was fantastic. And then I was single, and after hours was at my house. And the craziest thing is, my mother would come, Italian mother. I'm the baby. She'd come every Friday morning around 5 a.m. Clean, cook, do all my clothes. By 8 o'clock in the morning, I'm having breakfast with my mother, and she's, God rest her soul, she's gone. I wish she wasn't. And then Friday night after hours at my house, all the girls would come and they would go, "Rocco, your house is flawless." And I'm like, "Yes, I keep a tight ship." And my buddies are like, "His mother did it." I'm like, "These guys are jealous. They're not." Dude, it was the best, Chris. It was the best.
Where's the bro code? Bro, don't knock me
Yeah.
down, man. Kill it. Hi. Hey, we're having fun here. Come on. This is the Hive Shack.
It was great. So the 2 family houses, duplexes, were just fantastic. I mean, I was 21 years old. One of the houses ended up being a frat house, from Utica College. And I was getting per room. I was making a killing. I was $600 a month positive cash flow in 87 on one house. And then I would keep all their deposits because they would trash it.
Yeah.
And then the parents would say, "Oh, we're going to sue you." I'm like, "All right, well, I'll send you the video before your son moved in and after he moved out, and I'm going to sue you." A, I never had a video, and B, they never responded.
That's awesome.
Can't convince them, confuse them.
I like it. Yeah, you can't convince them, confuse them.
I think you need to write that down. We've got our list of gold nuggets.
Yep. Yeah.
More balls than brains.
Yep.
I got that. Convincing.
Yeah, and I'll throw some Roccoisms in. When I used to be on the radio, I would twist my words. So
I like it.
yeah, I would.
All right, so you're living the dream, man.
Living the dream
at the time.
Yep.
I mean, not knowing any better.
Yep.
You probably went on a vacation, went to somewhere where there was actually sun in February. Like, what the hell's going on here? Didn't know there was sun in February. Was that possible?
Yep.
Yeah, and you went, maybe there's somewhere else in the world I could go.
So in 96, packed up the truck, had a Silverado extended cab, 94 Silverado 4-wheel drive, the plow on it. Of course, I didn't take the plow with me. Put 10,000 cash in the truck, and I went from Boston, Massachusetts, all the way down to South Beach, Miami. Ended up in Atlanta. It was February 96, staying at a hotel over on Roswell Road in 285. And Saturday afternoon, February, 72 degrees. I walked to a bar called the Good Old Days. Now, this place was rocking. It was over by American Pie.
Yeah.
There's probably some listeners here. So I walk in there. I'm 30 years old with my Motorola flip phone. People are in bathing suits and wading pools, and this place is mobbed. Everybody was gorgeous. Guys, girls. So I'm trying to be cool, Chris, because I don't want anybody to think I'm, not from here. So I sit at the bar, order a burger. I order a club sandwich and a beer. And a girl comes up to me and goes, "Are you alone?" And now I'm getting nervous. I'm thinking she's going to roll me, right? Am I alone?
Right.
Right? She's
Right.
going to roll me. Right?
I'm like,
What girl comes up to you in a bar at 2:00 in the afternoon and says, "Are you alone?" And I'm from New York. Okay.
It's not
You're like,
Vegas.
whoa,
This is
whoa,
not Vegas, right? I got,
whoa,
what do I
whoa,
got?
whoa.
Like, right. So I go, yeah, why? She goes, "Why don't you come sit with us?" I'm like, "Where?" And she points to a table. There's 3 girls and a guy. Now it's 2:00 in the afternoon, Saturday, February, whatever. It's 75 degrees. People are just rocking. It's like spring break in Lauderdale in the 80s, right?
Yeah.
So I go sit at the table, and within 30 minutes, shots of tequila. Just this was paradise.
So
Paradise.
So the
I mean,
veil had been lifted.
Yes.
And it's like
Right.
the clouds had parted, and
Yes.
and he went 1 tequila, 2 tequila, 3 tequila, floor.
And so I was sold on Atlanta, and then in the June of '96 Olympics, I was here. Ended up getting back with my girlfriend at the time. She came here. She was my wife for 30 years, and unfortunately that ended. But that's what got us here. Yeah, my sister moved here, and we came here in '96 Olympics. Worked for a home builder up in not far from here, up in Seven Oaks, a little farther up the road from you, and started building. And then I couldn't deal building new houses. People were doing things that were just not normal, Chris.
Not good, not right.
I mean, they
proper,
were
right?
pouring concrete on top of filter, and I couldn't deal with it. I'm like, I got it.
Burying all the trash in the backyard.
Oh, I mean, putting green board in the shower.
Oh my
behind the
God.
tile.
How many times have I had to pull that out?
Oh, I mean, and I mean, so I started Oneida Builders in '97. Actually, first job I did, I'm a carpenter by trade, so I physically did all the work. And then I landed a big job. It was referred to me by Canuck. It was a cabinet company. They're called Founders now.
Okay.
Right? Billy Reeves. And so
Yeah.
It was a big job. I had no subs. So I sold the job, big money job at the time. I would show up in the morning, meet with the clients, and say, "Oh yeah, the crew will be here in about an hour." So they would go to work. I would leave, come back in my work clothes, do all the demo, the framing, go to McDonald's on the corner of 285 and Powers Ferry Road, take an Italian shower in the bathroom, fix my hair, throw some cologne on, go back at 5 when they were home and go, "I'm just checking to see what they did." Like, "Oh, they did great. They cleaned."
Oh my God.
Never had a damn employee, dude. Can't convince him, confuse him.
More balls than brains. Did you write that down?
I got more balls
Yeah,
and brains.
more balls.
I got convinced, confused.
Oh my God.
And he calls it the Italian shower. I call it the pits and pubes.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
a different one. And he went back and he says, "I just want to check on the work the guys are doing.
Yeah.
You know, I think Rocco, they're doing a great job." Good. They're good guys. They're good guys, right? I can just hear you saying it too.
Never.
Yeah, I'm glad to see that. Good. All right.
Did you come to Atlanta because of the Olympics? I mean,
No,
so many people came here.
I came
for that.
here because it was warm and there was work, and my sister ended up moving here, and that was it. And that because of the good old days, all the women. In case I didn't have a significant other, at least there was an opportunity here, because in upstate New York, there's it's always a sausage fest when you go out to a bar. Everybody knows what that means, right?
So there you go.
Sword fight.
Down here, it's a complete southern hospitality is definitely.
But you were in South Beach though, right?
Well, I went to South Beach, but South Beach, I had a cousin there, but it was just too, I didn't get a good feeling, and it was too expensive, South Beach. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's beautiful, but I felt more comfortable here in Atlanta.
So the name of your company?
Oneida Builders. So people they'll come up to me and say, "Oh, we heard of you." And I'm like, "Yeah, we're all over." But Oneida comes from Oneida, New York, which originally comes from the Oneida Indians. But the quality is Oneida silver. If everybody goes in their dining room, look up at your silver, it's probably Oneida silver.
I've seen that.
Yeah.
So that's how you picked it?
Yeah.
Did you have any other names in the running?
I did. Actually, my ex-wife picked it. It was RNS Builders, RS, R&T, and she said, "Why don't we just do Oneida? We're from Oneida and it's quality." And I'm like, "Yeah, let's do Oneida."
Brilliant.
And it's been like that since '97.
Unbelievable.
I'm just writing it down. Silver quality Oneida. I like that.
Yeah.
But the best one's got to be, how'd the guys do today? Great. I love it.
And the craziest thing about it, I became a member of the home builders, right? And networking with all the builders and remodelers too. And they had these things called the Professionalism Awards. I'm like, what? And they're like, oh yeah, you put your project in there, and this photographers come and to take pictures, and you enter it. We won second place.
Wow.
It was amazing. Yeah. So then within a year, HGTV and all that stuff now, for the first started called Gimme Shelter was Discovery Channel. They got my name and I did a 45-minute TV show.
Really?
I was building a house
Yep.
in Rivermont, and they liked my story, remodeler, builder, carpenter, and I did a 45-minute TV show.
How was that?
It was fantastic.
Did it drive business for you?
It gave me the credibility. I mean, I've only been here a year and a half.
Yeah.
I know nobody.
But
Nobody.
But you had your license by then. But back then, all you
No,
had
we
to do
didn't need it. You didn't have it.
Was it the kind of show?
What year didn't you have to have your license?
97. I mean, the
No.
license didn't come around till 2013 or something.
Yeah, it was definitely an 8 because that's when I started.
Well, yeah.
Had I started the year before,
Yeah.
I could have just gone down there and said, "Yeah, I'm a builder.
Right. So
Give me a license."
So
Was it one of those shows where they were trying to create some drama, or
well, it was a 45-minute show, and it's not like, so it was just me building a house, but they had a big crew and they had the talent, right? I didn't know what the talent meant. Well, that's the person, that's the talent. So its girl name was Lori, right? And she was like the big wig. So they said, all right, you're gonna meet Lori, you got to be nice to her, she's the talent, she's gonna ask you she's gonna drive the show. I'm like, all right. So I meet her and I say, hey Lori, I got some knee pads for you. And the whole crew freaking looked at me. I go, we're going to be laying some marble, and I want to make sure your knees don't hurt. Oh, thank you, Rocco.
That is.
that kind of gone the wrong way quick?
Hey, well, here's the title. Here's the title right here. Right, more balls and brains.
That's right.
So he says that.
Right.
I got kicked off the damn show. Like, hey, today you say that.
Forget about it.
you're
I mean, forget about it. Really, life is too short. And, there was another instance. Oh, I lost my train of thought. Shit. Oh, shoot. I shouldn't say that.
No, you can.
Oh, I can.
Yeah,
All right,
yeah.
all right.
Yeah.
So
Is this with Lori, the other story?
no, this is when I was on the radio called I was the green guru for Dave FM. Talked about energy efficiency here in Atlanta, right?
So nobody sees your face because that's why we do podcasts, because we have a face for podcasts.
Right.
So your title was the Green Guru.
The green guru for real people. Yeah.
Guru.
Yeah, for real people, because
I mean, come on, the mental image I've got right now. The
because,
Green Guru.
Isn't
that Rocco?
Like a
Everybody's
superhero?
talking about being green, but like $100,000 solar panels. I mean, who can afford that? Ted Turner's daughter. I did a job for her. What was her name? Seidel. She was a big green advocate. The most horrible person I've ever met in my entire life. She is the most. I can't even tell you how bad.
I think you just did.
Treated me like so.
Oh, really?
So
You
when
know,
I was
it's
on
funny as
Dave
I've actually
FM,
met her.
there was another radio station, and they would get a lot of more famous people, like what was that guy's name? He was a rapper, Little John. So I was doing my show, and the intern says, "Oh my God, Little John's next door." I go, "Really?" So Little John comes out. He's in a waiting room talking, and I said, "You want to meet Little John?" He goes, "You know him?" I go, "Yeah." So I walk. I go, "Hey, Little John." Little John turns over. He comes over. I say, I want to introduce this is my buddy. He's an intern. He really likes you." Little John's talking to him and everything. I never knew Little John. I never knew who he was.
That's awesome.
Right?
There you go.
More
Gotta
balls
take
and brains.
So,
Gotta
the other
take
thing
risks.
is, everybody is human.
Yeah.
I don't care if you're making $100 million a year, you're sweeping floors. We're all human.
Well, I think if you're listening to this podcast, you clearly can tell that
You know?
Rocco's very introverted, and afraid to talk with people or take a chance or a risk. But no,
Yeah, I'm glad we were able to draw him out just a little
just a
bit.
little, right?
Just a
We are
teeny- just a
rolling
tiny
right
bit.
The
there.
risk we take every day working in people's houses.
Yeah.
Right.
That's right. So how
Brutal.
big did you get?
I am probably in remodeling about 2 to 3 million in sales
Today.
Yeah.
Did you ever get any bigger and decide to come on back down to a level, or
No,
you just
I'm very comfortable. I love what I really like to do now is develop people, right? Every knowledge I have, mentor, give away. I mentored a friend of he was a client of mine's brother, and he said, my brother's going to go into business. You want to, give him some points. I mentored him. I gave him all the ins and outs. And he says to me, "Why are you doing this to me? Why? Why not?
Let me ask you
Why
this.
not?
I mean, you sound totally.
You keep the professionalism up.
But your story is of a self-made man. But you did go to the trade school. Did you
Yes.
have mentors? Did you have some key people along the way?
None.
So it's really
Not one,
interesting that
none,
you have
none.
chosen to become one for other people when you never had them yourself,
Well,
because you wish you did, probably. Would have helped, although you didn't.
Yeah,
do it.
you know, it would have. I could have definitely I needed it. I needed it emotionally, and you know, but like anything, you play the hand you're dealt. I mean, if you're not dealt good cards, well, you got to make the best of it. And so yeah, I love to mentor people.
What are a couple of key things that you focus on when you know you're in a mentoring situation?
The key thing is profit. How to be profitable. Because at the end of the day, as a builder or modeler, if you're not profitable, then you're not going to give a good product. You have to understand what things cost. And if you don't, you're gonna be, unfortunately, give our business a bad name.
Well, we told you who our audience is. So what are a couple of the things that people aren't thinking about that are killing their profitability?
I think the biggest thing is they go into a situation, a project with allowances or just putting some budget numbers together. Allowances are deferred decisions. Take the time to know what they want. Don't go, well, we think. No, spend a little more time in the planning so you could put that number in there and then put a profit on top of that number. And it just, you know, most guys like me are very anxious and ADD, and, you know, I'm all of the above. Surround yourself with people that are better than you.
Whoa, he keeps giving this kind of advice. I'm gonna have to take the title away because now he's starting to sound like he has a little bit of
No,
brains
balls
in
and
there.
brains is gonna get eyeballs.
Yeah,
But what he just said, so many people
Right,
can't do.
right.
They can't do that,
Right.
Because they're afraid of looking bad.
And yes,
Right,
and people
looking bad,
right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they whether look good and
Right.
just get throttled,
Slaughtered,
and
yeah.
they're gone.
And
Or
Surround
maybe
yourself with people are better than you.
you have to. I mean, people don't work for me. My employees are not employees. They work with me. They are equal. They are equal to me because they can go and get a job. I can't do this business without them. I mean, I'm great, but I'm useless without the people. So am I really good? It just
You
depends.
started off pretty well
You
without
know,
people.
it
he
just
did
depends.
great.
So,
Yeah, he did a
so,
lot better than me
so
because right now my
any
guys do the same thing.
entrepreneur, I don't care what you're doing, knowledge with the internet and the resources. We didn't have it back then. I started this business in 97, and then 5 years later, I bought a book, 10 things you should do to be a remodeling contractor. I did 9.5 of them wrong.
Attaboy.
I didn't know
good
my
for that.
accounting. I didn't know my business insurance. I didn't know how to estimate, but I was able to overcome them because I didn't have fear.
You were able, you're still charging ahead going
Right,
forward.
okay.
And we're pretty skilled, clearly. I mean,
Yeah, I had
without doubt,
I had a
you
good
can tell.
trade, but education to me is critical. And the person I was mentoring went to Cornell. I mean, MBA. I mean, this guy is a brain, you know, wicked smart. But what I was able to do is just give him the hands-on business experience for our industry. He was signing a deal to build a custom house. He never built a custom house before. He gave the guy a price.
Whoa.
I said, Lowell, what happens if the framing costs more? Well, I don't know. I said, change that contract to a fixed fee, you know, where you're going to give him a builder fee plus he pays the sticks and bricks. He changed the contract. 8 months into it, COVID hit, materials tripled. He would have been bankrupt.
Oh, good
He would have been
Lord.
bankrupt.
Oh, this is wow.
He would have been bankrupt.
Oh,
because-
totally done.
Right.
Yeah.
He would have been bankrupt.
Oh my gosh.
So just that little bit of advice, you know, saved them. And I think in any business, get that education. And it doesn't, you don't have to pay for it. Mentors, networking groups. I mean, you Google anything today.
So I think Rocco also is another title if you want to start another business. I am your F up angel. I'm going to keep you from effing up.
Yeah. You know, knowledge is power. And if you don't have it, get it. Pay somebody to do it. I mean, you know, it's out there. It's out there.
Did you ever in your business, you know, we've all made mistakes when we go things. Did you say, you know, at one point you're like, you know what, 2 to 3 million, I don't feel comfortable. I'm going 20, 30 million. I'm going to go nuts. I'm going to go big. Did you ever have that shiny object syndrome?
For a short period of time, because I have to give up too much, you know, and it's time. Where, you know, was able to go to Italy. I mean, how much is enough money? Yeah, sure, a little bit more, but you know, I lost my parents, I lost my sister, I got divorced, and I've realized what's most important is healthy relationships and experiences. And I can do all of them with a comfortable salary. I'm not, how much can I want? I lived in a 3-bedroom house and I thought we were rich. My house now is pretty damn nice.
Yeah.
So I've made it. I have no other financial goals to meet in my entire life. My goals are relationships and giving away what I've learned.
Funny you should say that, because we always talk about this on the podcast about what is your definition of success. And, in my 20s, it was 100%.
Sure.
100%
Money.
Thank you.
Sure.
I just
Money.
No, it was relationships. No, fuck.
Yeah.
Well, it was
Different kinds of relationships.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but and that's the thing. What I'm finding too is, especially the younger set are learning that earlier. They don't want to have the big houses that their parents or their grandparents had. They don't want that. They want experiences as well.
Yeah.
You just hit.
Yeah.
So I applaud them for that, because we would all say, well, they're just cheating, they're just lazy. That's the same thing our parents said about us. So well, not Rocco's
Yeah,
parents,
no. My father said he didn't know who I was because I worked.
You're
He's
a
like,
maniac.
he's like, I don't know who you are.
Yeah, no, my dad was always like, you always want something for nothing. I'm like, yeah, Dad, I do. I'm because I was a hard charger too. I mean, I worked hard, but I'm like, all right, and you get promoted? He goes, no, it takes 20 years. I'm like, no, I don't have time for that.
Right. I like your story though. Your story, your book, and going from corporate to this world. I mean, that's a great story.
So Rocco,
the book, he mentioned your book.
Yeah,
I didn't even plug it. Look at that.
What's the name of it again? I can't remember.
I'm so glad you asked.
Oh,
From the Zoo to the Wild, your guide to entrepreneurial freedom and work.
Yeah, and I
and endorsed by the Green Guru.
Yeah.
How on earth did you get the Green Guru gig? I mean, did you know a damn thing about green?
Well, I did a little bit. There was a lot of green movement here in the beginning. Pam Sessions, Carl Seville, and I was part of that group. I surrounded myself with very, very intelligent people. And I've been copying my whole life. I'm going to tell you a little secret. Okay, so back, I grew up in Utica, New York, across the street from Jefferson School. I went to the school. So Mike DeZura was the janitor. Played, he's like a handball champion in New York State. Young, big guy. So good friends with my father. My father was Vito. Did I tell you my father's name was Vito?
No.
I'm glad I tell you my brother's name was Vito?
No.
And my brother's name was Pasquale. And my nephew's Vito. And I'm Rocco. And I got a Rocco and 2 angels. Did I tell you that?
No, you failed to mention that.
All right.
But I will say, before you tell the rest of the story, when you Google Rocco Sinisgalli, right, there are probably 400 of them out there. And Alan Wyatt's over there going, no way, Chris. I'm like, I know. It's almost like John Smith. There's like a million of them out there.
Really?
I did it. When you Google your name, it's all over, and there's quite a few in Italy. So,
all right.
Yeah.
All right. So,
all right. Back to
Mike DeZura, handball champion. So I don't know. I was born. So this is probably 75, right? It's probably 10, 11. So I'd go help Mike DeZura clean the school. He'd open up the school. So now this is a 25-year-old man letting an 11-year-old boy, right? Clean. So we'd clean, pull all the desk out, dust mop. So I'd go into my class. I'd sit in the teacher's desk. I'd get the teacher's edition and copy all the answers for the year.
Now, did you for yourself or did you sell them?
Well, I definitely gave it to my Goombas, right? So
answer me this. So was that smart, or is actually learning the subject matter and then passing the test smart? Answer that.
Yeah, both are smart.
Right?
Yeah.
Right?
Huh?
Yes.
Yeah. Exactly.
I mean, what do I care about social studies and science?
Nobody ever
make me money.
Nobody ever said that wasn't the game.
Right.
Right. You tell me the game. Maybe I'm playing on this edge.
Right.
Maybe you're playing on that edge.
So was it wrong? Technically, but that's what worked for me. That worked for me. Then we'd watch we'd order pizza with pepperoni and watch the Ranger game until 10 o'clock at night and go home. So hilarious. Today, do I copy? Well, sure. You get on, a design. Well, what who's doing that? What's doing that? I mean, we're all bouncing off one another.
Isn't it? It's funny because when I went to college, hey, eyes on paper, right? I went to engineering. I got an engineering degree, and then you had to start doing team projects at the end, and we'd have to do projects where you had to work together. Oh dear God!
Yeah,
and there was always that one slug there. You just want to beat the living shit out of it. Like, dude, how about you do something, right? And you just wouldn't do it. And then what did you learn when you get out and you get in the corporate world? Yeah. You have to have people to get things done. Yeah, what happens if you want to be not just a solopreneur, you want to be an entrepreneur who has a business? Mm-hmm. What do you find out? You got to work with people.
Yeah.
So you don't have to be the smartest guy in the room.
And there's always going to be a slug in every group.
And there's always a slug in another group.
Yeah.
But that's what they're missing huge. And we've talked about this before about in college is they're missing that to be successful in life. Sometimes figuring out how to copy the questions before you get started and sharing it with your buddies may be the way to go, because if those guys probably figured out an edge to win the game later, right?
Yeah, I have a feeling he'd pass some sort of like, I don't know, Navy SEAL, whatever, just the creative way of problem solving.
Yeah, I mean, it is problem solving. My oldest daughter is a Georgia Tech grad, highly intelligent. I mean, off the charts, 4.0.
Good
all
for
for
her.
4 years. She's in the water industry as far as engineering. And when she was she'd study all the time. So I say, Kaylin, what are you studying for? So I can go to college. I'm like, so I get a good college. I'm all right. What are you going to do there? I'm going to study and get good grades. I go, okay, where's that going to bring up? Well, one of the good grades in a good career, I'm going to be able to get a good job and make money. I go, how come if I could skip all the education, just teach you how to make money? Would you like to do that? Well, no, Dad, it's not supposed to be that way. My point is that's the way she's wired, and there's nothing wrong with that, and I commend her.
And she'll be wildly successful.
Successful.
Yeah, she will. But there's another way.
There's another way, and I want my kids and anybody mentor to understand all the ways. There's nothing wrong with working for somebody in the corporate world if that's your choice. Here's my choice. It was the right choice for me.
You can tell
it's the right choice for me.
Yeah, we said this before we got started. Rocco is 1,000% unemployable. There is no way.
Yes,
right. Hey, hey, Rocco, I think you should work in this system. I don't think you kind of listen to my story because I don't do systems. Right.
And I had a chance recently to join a franchise in this industry, and it was a fantastic opportunity. But I just couldn't give up, answering to somebody and having to follow these rules. It just didn't work. So obviously I chose not to.
Yeah. I mean,
now, do you tend to hire people who are like you or who are more rule followers?
I have, let's see.
What was that, Chris? What did you say, Chris?
All right, he said good. I said good question.
Okay. I have a
test, and that was a good question. Shit.
I have a person, my estimator. He's Georgia Tech grad. He's a pilot by nature, very intelligent. I have a carpenter, 17 years. He's 56 years old. I have an admin. She's young. CFO. She's in her 40s, young, and a project manager woman. So they are highly intelligent. Are they rule followers? Yes.
So you did hire different than you.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. And do we have rules? No.
But you do though, right?
We do, but it's not.
Because you have expectations,
right?
That,
I am not a micromanager. I'll give you all the freedom. I trust. Sometimes I trust a little too much, and I get taken advantage of. But there's a movie called The Bronx Tale. I don't know if you ever saw The Bronx Tale. It's Chaz Palminteri. It's a mafia movie, and Robert De Niro's in there. And there's a point where the mafia guy is telling he's got this young kid. And he says, see, my men fear me. And C says, well, I would rather have people love me. My point is it better to be feared or loved? Well, I feel that loved is better than feared, because loved, they will do anything for you. And the world my father came from was feared.
Mm-hmm.
And you either end up dead or in jail. That's the only way you're going in that world.
Yeah. So I
love
totally
is and you can be loved as an entrepreneur, and you could give opportunities, because there's not room for everybody at the top, but there's room for anybody. And it's your choice where you want to be on that ladder.
And you can be taken advantage of if you go that route.
Yes.
You just have to guard against that.
And I have. Yeah. And you know what? It's okay. You learn, and you learn from that experience, but I would rather be known for being taken advantage of, for taking advantage of.
But it sounds like over time you've developed this team that's been with you that they would never take advantage of you.
No,
they appreciate it. They probably enjoy watching the Rocco show.
It is great. And, the more success I get, the more they can be successful and financially too. And just, I love to share and have good times with the people I care about, because what else, what are you going to do with it?
Yeah, no, he hit on two big things. I think loyalty comes from that trust and love part versus the fear, because fear doesn't engender loyalty. Fear engenders, and I've worked for those kind of bosses in
especially in the
world.
corporate world, that you fear them.
Oh yeah,
Right?
oh yeah. I mean,
it's because they don't know how to lead.
No, they're horrible leaders and never trained to lead. And the Peter principle plays out in spades, especially in corporate America. But
some people think that that's what you're supposed to do, and it's ridiculous. So,
I know
it's so counterintuitive to me.
Well, it's an easier. I tell you, it's a quicker path.
It's easier to be a dick.
It is, and it's quicker to get results.
Yeah,
true. When you're a fear leader, it's quicker to get results. No doubt about it.
Sprint results.
Longer. Sprint results. You want
Rocco's got marathon results.
Right? In an industry that it's really hard to get that kind of loyalty. And I've got some pretty good loyalty too. I also have a Dement doll, which I pull out every once in a while. And
I haven't talked about the Dement doll in a while.
So my office manager, who's been with me for 14 of my 15 years, bought me a Dement doll because she was sick of me watching me kick trash cans all over the office. So she figured, hey, if you do that, maybe we can save a few more trash cans. Because if I may be a little passionate as well, and I can tell you're passionate as well.
Absolutely.
Right? So she got me this Dement doll. So when somebody screws up, I just pull it out of the drawer and I just start slamming it on the desk. And so my quality assurance manager comes in. And he says, look at this job. I'm like, no, you could have bought that piece. He goes, I didn't know that piece existed. I said, that's right there. And he came back and he goes, you know what? You're right. I said, okay, hang on. Grab my Dement doll and I go, Dement rod. I said, okay, we done? I said, okay, go back and keep going.
That's what I call a healthy coping skill.
So yeah. Also, I've had to go to many years of counseling to get that.
That is correct,
because the Dement doll had to come to do that counseling.
Listen, nobody teaches you how to deal with this stuff, right? I mean, you're going to school for all the basics, but no one's teaching you how to deal with the person that isn't productive, how the client that's taking advantage of you. That no one's teaching you these life relationship skills, and I think it's far more needed than anything. It's far more needed than
those
anything.
Are those soft skills we talked about quite a bit. That when you listen to this podcast, you might pick some of that stuff up. And as we want to get back to kids who are in school, what are some of those success habits? Well, you know what? It's pretty funny. You don't need to go to school to figure this out. Show up on time. Do a little bit more work than everybody else around you, right?
Good attitude.
Have a good attitude. Right. Stay on task. Right. Do things. Keep contact, your eyes open.
Smile.
Right.
Shake hands.
Yeah. And then outside of it, how about a little networking? How about going to do this?
Oh yeah.
So that's how I met Rocco originally, because we're both part of a really nice organization.
Great group.
I wish more people, consumer wise, would know more about what these guys do and what we all do, and that is pledge to work ethically and responsibly and work in houses and do things the right way for your. Literally your number one asset, right? So I met Rocco that way. I try to tell my daughter, who's in healthcare, that she needs to learn to network. She's like, no, Dad, you don't understand. It doesn't work like that. And I'm like, and literally the next day I'd met a guy, and his son is at Emory school, finishing up his whatever they call it when they become a doctor, the
residency.
And he said this kid was the kid who had a 2.8 in college.
Yeah.
He said networking got him in, got a chance. And then of course he turned it around, and really sharp kid, you could tell. Now my son, the lawyer, he is literally working in a law firm as a junior, rising senior in college. And I just found out that doesn't happen.
Wow.
Because of networking.
Yeah. Well, all I did, and so I said, hey, what do you want to do? So I sent out some feelers, sent out some notes, and it was up to him to go make the deal happen. And he did. He made the deal happen, and he's having a blast, but he's doing stuff that other people said, no, you can't do that. He has to be a law student. I said, well, he's not.
My son's going to Kentucky this fall, and I says, I'll pay for your school and everything, but I'm done with your frat costs and all this. I says, I'm not giving you a nickel. We got a pressure washer. I says, here's my list of clients and friends. Start texting, start emailing. We're killing it. We got an apartment complex to pressure wash him, and now he hired his buddy.
That's a big job.
Yeah. But my point is just be willing to do the basics, and what you put into it, what you get out of it. I mean, I'm 57 years old. I have a great career, but I'm still doing deals after work in real estate and in mentoring and networking. Because that's the enjoyment. That's the drug for me.
Yeah,
that's the drug for me.
Right. So we did a summer entrepreneurship academy. We're going to get that genned up again next summer. And I was trying to do that to give back to college students.
Sure.
And you know what? I ended up getting more than I gave.
Sure.
Because you're so fired up talking to these kids, right? And just seeing their eyes open up, and you start talking about stuff that they just don't talk about in college.
Right.
And we talked about just those basics.
And it was kind of reassuring how much they dove into it and they appreciated it. Because I'm wondering, when you put this whole thing together, if you were wondering, okay, is anybody going to show up? And if they show up, are they going to care? Because everything you hear about kids today, right?
Right, doesn't care.
Yeah.
It's not.
And they were sucking it up.
They did. And to this day, and literally, I just had one text me this morning. Hey, Mr. Lalvani, I'm at Northwestern Mutual. I'd like to talk to you about your finances. So I was like, I fired back. I'm like, hey, buddy, great call. I said, I'm all set with finances, but let's talk more about how you can build your book of business. Let's go.
Sure.
Right? Because what's the one thing that I think young people miss is that as old people, we want to help them.
Absolutely.
Especially in entrepreneurship, in entrepreneurs world. And you can tell, Rocky, you've got that servant heart too. But Alan and I do the same. I mean, if you ask me a question, dude, I'm not going to ignore you. In fact, I answered his question in text faster than I answered my own employee.
Right.
Because I was like, hey, man, I'll call you next week. Let's talk.
Sure. I mean, I had a good client of mine, and we're still friends today. And he calls it, this is the most word that everybody uses is, we hear the word equity, right? And what do you think? Money, right? Equity in your house, right?
Equity, yeah.
He builds human equity. He puts his time in people. Equity in you and what you're doing and your employees and that to me is what it's human equity. Let's build our equity with each other. And that it blew me away. So I guess that's kind of a tagline is human equity.
Yeah. No, we won't put that in the tagline. Tagline still
balls and brains.
Balls and brains, okay. But more balls and brains. But I'm in a mastermind group, and we're going to start wrapping up here in a minute. That talked about the fact that when we get together once a month and we start talking about it, we all share a lot of problems, right? And most of our problems are rooted with
people,
leadership, and people.
Yeah,
that's exactly right.
Yeah,
it's not about finances. Again, the finance, you got to have that. I mean, that's it. But you got to have that, and then you got to be able to work with people and build into them, right?
And be able to handle criticism.
Oh,
that was something I had. That was a few years of counseling for there, Chris.
Yeah,
how to handle criticism in a healthy way. Because I grew up, my mother said I was the king. I was her diamonds, rubies, and emeralds.
Oh, because
I'm the baby.
You're the baby,
right?
Right.
That Rocco did no wrong.
See, I was the number one of the number one, so I was the first king, and in my grandmother's my grandmother's jewel set. But I could do wrong later. So
I kind of wish I had an Italian mom.
Oh, bro, yeah. Well,
my mother always felt like I could. I mean, and again, my mother's is passed as well, but she often told me, she goes, Christopher, I think you could be the President of the United States. And she truly believed that. She was the only one in the world, including me. She's the only one in the world, especially now.
I'd vote for you, Chris.
Thank you, but I'm still not running.
There's a song, and I know but there's a song called, I think it's Toto. It's too much love, you get too high, not enough, and you're gonna die. So I grew up with so much love that I thought we were filthy rich. Because of the love, until I got older, I realized how financially strapped we were.
Yeah,
but love,
you didn't even know that, right?
That was
didn't know.
Just didn't know.
My dad said that to me. He says, "If your grandfather saw how you live now, do you think he'd even comprehend it?" He goes, "I go, no, because I remember him saying those are the castles on the hill."
Yeah,
that was his. But he said it in a really odd Sicilian. Yeah. Sicilian's so much weirder too. It was something on the hill, and I can't remember what he said, but those houses, those guys. Yeah. Rocco, man, this has been awesome.
Been great. Love you guys, man.
But we can't let you go without
more questions.
More questions.
Oh boy.
Come on. You love giving knowledge. We got to give knowledge. What is a book you'd recommend to all of our listeners?
Oh my God. I'm not a big book reader.
What was the one you mentioned one earlier?
Well, there is the only book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
There you go.
That was a good one.
Cute.
And then relationship wise, and if you're in a marriage or any type of relationship, called the Love Dare book. That changed my life relationship wise.
The Love Dare.
The Love Dare book. Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Give us a nugget on that.
Basically, it's a biblical perspective on how to treat each other in a healthy relationship. Blew me away.
Solid.
Changed my life. Also changed my life.
A lot of life changing. All right, here we go.
Okay.
Now we're going to get into it. I fear that our fourth one's not going to be
still. You still kind of diminish my question.
No, it's a great
book. Now we're going to get into it. The next three questions are more important than that one.
You know what, Alan?
You have
and I
that
are-
look on your face. You're so busted.
No, you know what? So I'm going to buy the Love Dare book for you and me.
No. I don't think it'll work.
I think we
between
need.
two-
I think
two
we need to
guys.
have couples therapy, brother. And there's
Yeah,
the gold nugget right there.
Yeah. All right. Well,
All right.
All right.
All right.
What
What's a favorite feature?
Question B.
All right.
Question B. All right. Love Dare. We're definitely going to
Yep,
buy that book
yep.
for both of us. I'll
Yep.
sign your copy.
Yeah.
All right.
Love
What's the
copy.
favorite feature of your house?
Oh my word. Dude, my house is like the crib, man. I built it. So the favorite feature of my house, I would say, is the pickleball court.
Nice. Awesome.
Look at that. It's so crazy, man. People freak out. We have a blast. Wednesday night pickleball in my house. Show up, man. We just play pickleball. It's
All right.
awesome, man.
Look at that. He builds
Awesome.
community with pickleball.
I do.
Right.
I do.
That's
Yep.
really cool.
Yep.
Building community
Yep.
with pickleball.
Yep. Yeah.
All right. Here we go. All right.
Yeah.
So one of the things that we are is we're definitely customer service freak.
Yep.
Hello.
Okay.
We love about customer service.
Yep.
So when
Yep.
you're out there
Yep.
and you're the customer, what just drives you absolutely insane when somebody doesn't deliver great customer service? What is a problem you see?
Pet peeve.
And so that I'm the customer and all right, not what I'm giving to my customer.
Yeah. Right.
All right. Man, I think the biggest thing is just not doing what you say you're gonna do. I mean, how simple is that? Show up and do what you're saying to do. And the other thing is making excuses.
Oh God, that's a good one.
So I got
Finally.
I got
Finally
a guy
somebody
that
said
that
that.
that, that that says to me, Rocco, it's a plumber one time. He says, I can't get this done. That I don't have the right part, and it'd probably be a couple days. So I says, Jeffrey, I'll give you $500 today to get that done today. Do you think you could do it? Rocco, I think I could, cut this end and put a Healy coil on it and do it. And I go, you think you got the tools to do it right now? He goes, yes, I do. I go, do it. And I'm not giving you the $500
There's a
because
lesson.
your sinful self was lying to me. You made an excuse because you wanted to go home. Now you're going to benefit. And you don't care about making your $20 million an hour. You just want to make an extra 500. So no, do it now. Don't make excuses.
How about that one? That's a great turn.
It is such a good. That is a huge one, Rocco. That's one of my favorites.
I
'Cause
love that.
sometimes just tell me what's happening. I don't need to hear the drama.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be late.
Quick story. We're on
Oh
a
my
job.
God.
Generator dies. We got the house power off on the house. We're putting in. Generator dies Friday afternoon. Everybody says, "Oh, we're leaving. We got no power." I blocked them with my truck. I walked 5 houses up, landscape truck. Gave the guy $20, 5 gallons of gas, put it in the generator, started it up, get back to work.
Genius.
Solve the problem.
There you go. Solving problems.
Balls and brains.
Yes.
That is
Yeah.
definitely that is balls
Cash
and
help
brains.
too, $20 help.
Yeah,
But this was before gas was $6 a gallon. $5
Yeah,
a
right.
gallon.
That actually got you 5
Of
gallons.
course, the $20 went to his pocket, not his boss's.
Yeah. Hey, I don't.
Maybe
care.
it was 50. I don't know.
Who cares? All right. So, obviously, you're a pretty skilled carpenter, but we want a DIY nightmare story, not one on your projects, one where you're doing it yourself and you're like, whoops.
I
maybe I'm-
impaled myself.
I ripped my finger off. I shocked the crap out of myself. I got shot
man.
across the yard because I hit-
Temporarily blinded.
Oh man, DIY. Doing a roof, and it started to rain. And I was 19. It was my parents' roof, so we put plastic on the roof. But I didn't realize once I stepped on the plastic, I would slide down because it was a slip and slide. And I slid down and smashed the deck. And I was 18 years old. How
that's
stupid
pretty-
is that? Plastic on a roof
That's
pitch with
pretty good.
water?
Huh?
I
That's
like
pretty
that
good.
one.
All right.
Yeah.
And that one, Rocco, you've done it. Rocco, how can people find you here in Atlanta?
Just Google OneidaBuilders.net. Oneida, ONEIDA, builders.net.
And we'll make sure we put that and the Insta account because they put some beautiful pictures out there for you guys to follow. And if you're not in Atlanta, you just want to see what a good builder looks like and what they do, man, go check that.
There's some
Insta out.
great photos on your website.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you.
And
That's my crew.
They do great stuff. So that's awesome. Rocco,
Sweet.
thank you so
Thank
much
you
for being
guys. All right.
here.
Yeah.
Guys, if
cheers,
you didn't
Rocco.
pick something up today, you missed out on some great gold nuggets, because you got to have balls and you got to have brains. You got to put them both together. And sometimes you need to have a little bit more of one than the other. You just got to decide when to use them. All right, we're out of here. Let's go.
Cheers.
Later.